Let's learn various examples discussed on use effect with name and counter component. Let's start defining the name and counter component. Import the use state and use effect from React. Define the name component. So define state for name variable, and at the same time define the state for the counter variable. So I'm going to initialize this with the default value. Now I'm going to define another state for the counter. Okay. So now define the return statement to display the name and counter. Export the name counter component. Import the name counter component to app.js. Refer the same thing in the JSX. Now run the application. We are able to see the name and counter in the browser. Now let's define the use effect function to display the name and counter in the use effect. Now let's define a use effect function to display the name and counter as part of the component mount. So we are going to display the name in console, display counter in console. Same time we are going to display the counter. We have not specified any dependency array. This means this use effect is going to get run every time any name changes or counter changes, or the first time the component is going to get mounted. Let's see this in the browser debugging. So here is our browser displaying the name and counter. Let's go and inspect and put a breakpoint at use effect. Let's reload the component, and we are going to hit this use effect for the first time the component is mounted, and we are trying to display the name and counter.
We are displaying the same in the browser console.
Let's update our component to increment the counter and update the name on button clicks. Let's define a button to update the name, and again define one more button to increment the counter. So now what we observe, when you click on changing the name or changing the counter, as you are trying to update the name and counter which is part of the state, as any state or anything else changes, as we have not specified any dependency array here, this use effect runs for the first time the component is mounted and every time either name changes or counter changes. Let's see in the debug mode. So here is the updated component with the button to change the name and change the counter. We already have our breakpoints. Let's try to reload the component so that as a part of the component mount they should get executed for the first time. Breakpoint has been hit, and we are trying to print the name and counter. We can check the same in the console. Now let's go and change the name. So when you clicked on change the name has been changed from James to John. As we have not specified any dependency, the use effect is going to get called for every change in the state that is going to happen on the page. Name is new name John, the counter is still old counter. Now let's go and update the counter. Whenever you update the counter, as the state changed, it is going to execute the same use effect for the counter change also. Name has been new and counter also been new.